You trust your memories. You probably shouldn't. Right now, somewhere in your brain, a memory is being quietly rewritten, not by a glitch, not by age, by the same flaw that a CIA-funded program spent over a decade trying to weaponize. This is not a theory. The documents are declassified. The scientists were real. And what they discovered about your mind is far stranger than anything they were originally looking for. It started with a question the CIA couldn't answer after the Korean War. American prisoners of war had come home changed. Some confessed to crimes they hadn't committed. Some seemed to genuinely believe enemy propaganda. The agency wanted to know, had their memories actually been altered? And if so, could the U.S. do the same thing on purpose? That question gave birth to MKUltra, formally launched in 1953 under CIA Director Allen Dulles. Most people have heard the name. Fewer people know what it actually funded. One of its most significant and deeply disturbing branches focused not on drugs or hypnosis, but on memory itself. Researchers wanted to understand whether a false memory could be planted so convincingly that the subject could never tell the difference. The answer, it turned out, was yes. Dr. Ewan Cameron, a psychiatrist at McGill University in Montreal, received CIA funding through a front organization called the Society for the Investigation of Human Ecology. Cameron believed he could erase a person's existing memories and replace them with new ones. He called it psychic driving. His method involved playing recorded messages to patients on a loop, sometimes for weeks, while keeping them in a heavily sedated state. Some patients were subjected to this for 20 or 30 days without interruption. The results were not what anyone would call a success. Cameron's subjects emerged confused, regressed, and often unable to recall basic facts about their own lives. Some forgot their spouses. Some forgot how to speak. The agency eventually withdrew funding. Cameron's work was later described by a U.S. Senate committee as among the most ethically catastrophic experiments ever conducted on American and Canadian civilians. But something unexpected came out of the wreckage. Researchers who followed up on MKUltra's data began asking a quieter, more precise question. You don't need drugs to change a memory. What if all you need is time? That thread was picked up by cognitive psychologist Elizabeth Loftus, whose work, beginning in the 1970s, had nothing to do with the CIA, but everything to do with what the agency had been reaching for. Loftus demonstrated in controlled experiments that human memory is not a recording. It is a reconstruction. Every time you remember something, your brain rebuilds it from fragments, and in that rebuilding, details shift. Witnesses to the same event remember different things. Leading questions inserted after the fact change what people recall with complete confidence. In one of her most cited studies, subjects who had never been lost in a shopping mall as children were told, through a brief planted suggestion from a family member, that they had been. Within weeks, a significant portion of them had developed detailed memories of the event. They remembered what the mall looked like. They remembered feeling scared. None of it had happened. Your brain did not evolve to store events accurately. It evolved to make sense of them. Those two goals are not the same thing. This is the detail the official story of MKUltra tends to miss. The CIA failed to build a machine for rewriting memory. But the research it stumbled into proved something more unsettling. The machine already exists. It's the one running right now behind your eyes. Every memory you revisit is slightly altered by the moment you revisit it in. The emotional state you're in. The story you've since told yourself. The details you heard other people emphasize. Memory is not a vault. It is a living document, and every time you open it, you edit it a little. Law enforcement now takes this seriously. The Innocence Project has documented hundreds of wrongful convictions where eyewitness testimony, delivered with complete certainty, turned out to be entirely wrong. The CIA wanted a tool. What the research found instead was a mirror. Tonight, when you think back on something that happened to you years ago, you're not accessing the past. You're constructing a version of it. And somewhere in that construction, the person who experienced it and the person who is remembering it are not quite the same person. That gap is where the strange truth lives. And it has been there, quietly rewriting you, since the very first thing you ever forgot.
If your brain enjoyed this, do all 3. Hit subscribe, smash like, and turn notifications on so you can watch next.